We've all got busy work schedules and personal lives, but we do have to prioritize our workouts. And if we're gunning for hypertrophy, we got to be strategic about it. The beautiful thing, again, about hypertrophy, there's no one way. So let's talk about frequency of the workouts. Remember, whether you go 1 day a week, 2 days a week, 3 days a week, or any other variation, the important thing is you get your working sets in. Remember that magic number? About 15. 10 is okay on the lower end, 20 is good, 25 for those supreme athletes, but focus on those working sets. What's most convenient for you to get those in? Can you do it working a body part once a week? Can you get in there 2 days a week and make it happen? Or is 3 days a week more your speed? You have to determine. But all will stimulate hypertrophy if the total volume is there, the working sets. I'll give you an example. I do workout splits. I like to go 5-6 days a week. And again, I'm doing different body parts on different days. I focus on them. I'm really thinking about them, and I get to mix up the exercises, keep some things stable, and other things I change. But again, you want to have a certain amount of consistency, a stable routine, and you also want to bring in variation. Don't lean too far one way or the other. I'll give you an example. What I mean is, leg day, your staples, the squats, the deadlifts. Maybe you vary it up a little bit by throwing in jump squats sometimes. Now, granted, jump squats are more of a power exercise than they are for inducing hypertrophy, but still, it keeps that neuromuscular connection, and it keeps mixing it up, shocking your body, keeping it guessing, so you can stimulate that protein synthesis and generate muscle growth. Now, how about the duration of each workout? Can I do 30 minutes? Well, that boils down to, in 30 minutes, can you get those working sets that you need to get in? Is it just once a week that you're going in? Twice a week for that body part? If so, you got to ramp up the intensity. You got to ramp up the amount of weight, maybe lower the reps, decrease the rest time, and get it done. You don't want to stress yourself out, for instance, if you're just doing a body part once per week, because if something comes up and you miss it, where are you going to fit it in? You don't want to play that game of, oh, I'm missing it today so I can fit it in Tuesday after lunch or Wednesday before work. You don't want to waste your mental energy on that. Your time is too valuable. Organize it so it fits your schedule. And make sure, don't cut your workouts so short and try to be super intense in a short amount of time that you're missing some certain things. You don't want to be constantly rushing your workouts, trying to hit all the exercises you can as fast as you can, because there's going to be a tendency for you to get sloppy and you're going to miss things and try to do a shortcut here and there. No, you want to give yourself enough time so you're stimulating your neuromuscular system and you're doing those compound movements. So you work on the stabilizers, balance, all so important. Make sure you're getting the unilateral movements, the bilateral movements. Do some isolation exercises for the muscle groups you need to really focus on to keep up with the others. And at the end of the workout, if you're racing out to your job or to go back home, you're in fight or flight mode. Take the time to sit and do your breathing. Do some belly breathing on the ground. Stretch it out. Do the foam roller. But get out of that fight or flight mode. And of course, that's going to make a difference when you have your first meal after the workout. We'll talk about that in a separate episode. What about recovery time? How much is too much? How much is not enough? How do I know when I'm overtraining? Well, let's talk about it. First off, when we're working for hypertrophy, generally, when you're talking about a specific body part, you want to rest 48 hours before you hit it again. It's not end all be all, and you're not going to break down that muscle if you do it 2 days in a row. But as a rule of thumb, keep it to about 48 hours. Another question I get quite often, what if I go 5 days without working out? Am I going to lose all my muscle? Muscle atrophy? The answer is no. But don't make a habit of that. And let me reiterate, the key is those working sets each week. Are you getting at least 10 working sets per muscle group each week? If you're missing a lot of days, you got to get more working sets on the days that you do get in there. So don't put yourself in that situation where you're constantly stressing, and each time you get in the gym, you feel like you have to break records in there. Set your schedule and be consistent. Keep the frequency going, your intensity, and that volume. And again, when you fall off the tracks sometimes, get right back on them and don't stress about it, because mindset is very important. Now, as for overtraining is really hard to do. You got to push yourselves, and those hidden stressors outside have to be pretty potent to knock you out of the gym. Lack of sleep, stress at work, family emergencies, health troubles. But as a general rule, if you're feeling like you're lacking motivation, or you're thinking maybe I'm overtraining, my suggestion is get in there and start working out. Lower intensity, lower the volume, lower the weights. Perhaps you're not doing the compound movements, you're just doing machines. You're getting in there, you're getting the blood flowing, and you're stimulating your nervous system. You might find that all of a sudden you pick it up and really start performing. Some people have their best workouts when they go in with that mindset, and all of a sudden they get motivated and inspired, and they really take it to the next level. Or you just finish that workout at a lower level, and you walk out and you say, okay, that wasn't bad. You go to sleep that evening, and the next morning you wake up, you feel a little bit better. A good way to determine really if you're overtraining is check your resting heart rate when you get up. If it's higher than normal, that's a sign. Don't just take it one day and say, oh, it's higher than normal, I better stop working out. See that it's a trend. If you got a higher heart rate, resting heart rate that is, for 3 to 5 days, that's a trend. That's usually a sign of overtraining. So look at your resting heart rate. Again, if you wake up in the morning and it's generally 45 beats per minute, and all of a sudden it's 52 or 55 beats per minute for the next 3 to 5 days, then you're probably overtraining. What about cardio? That's a concern I had growing up too, because I always saw myself, limited mindset, as a hard gainer. So I'd completely take cardio out of my regimen and just focus on hypertrophy. That's a mistake. We need cardio. It has benefits. That said, when you're doing cardio, you gotta be smart about it. First off, the timing of cardio. Ideally, it's on either a separate day as your hypertrophy training, or it's in the evening on the day you do hypertrophy training in the morning. But neither of those is essential, and you're not going to lose your gains if you do your cardio before or after your workout. That said, you got to make sure you don't overdo it. So stay about 60 to 70% of your maximum heart rate. You learned how to assess that already. And do it for about 25 minutes. That should be fine. That should actually stimulate your workout. In fact, Many studies have shown that people who consistently add cardio to their repertoire, their hypertrophy gains actually improve. There's a caveat to that. You gotta make sure you're getting the energy you need. So if you're doing consistent cardio, that's a great thing. It's not gonna interrupt your hypertrophy if you're feeding the machine. Get those amino acids, get the carbohydrates, get the total calories you need. Again, we'll dive deeper into nutrition and calories and amino acids and carbohydrates in future episodes. But be smart about it and don't fear cardio, and don't have that fixed mindset either, like you're a hard gainer and oh my gosh, I can't do cardio. There's choices when it comes to cardio too. The ones that mimic the movements you're going to do in your workout, you might not want to go so hard on. For instance, if I'm doing squats, I don't want to be running too hard or too long before my workouts, because those eccentric movements mimic those movements I'm going to be doing in the squat, right? So that's going to impact my squats if I overdo it. But remember, don't eliminate it, keep doing it, and you watch. It'll probably help your leg workouts because you're warming up your body. You're getting that blood flowing. You're getting ready for protein synthesis when you're pumping the iron. Perhaps instead of running on the days you do legs, you can try cycling, because cycling doesn't have that eccentric pounding that running does, which mimics the movements that you're doing in squats. Let me tell you what I mean. So think about when you're doing a squat. On the way down, that's an eccentric movement. You're flexing your knees and your hamstrings are doing their thing. When you're running, when your foot hits the ground, you're bending your knees, your hamstrings are taking that eccentric load. When you're bicycling, you're not getting that intense eccentric load. So that might be something you try on days that you do legs. But again, don't fear running, because so many times people who have hit plateaus in hypertrophy have gotten over their plateaus when they introduce some cardio to their repertoire. There you have it. Some valuable nuggets of wisdom we've gained over the past 3 episodes. We've got the foundation to move forward and make the most of our hypertrophy training. Stay with me for the next several episodes. Each episode will focus in on different body parts. And when questions come up, ask them. Put them in the comments. Email me. We're going to make sure that you get the most out of your workouts so it enhances your life, all aspects of your life. See you next time. Until then, be the best version of yourself. And remember, I love you.